Jamaica is a Christian country. Anyone who has two functioning eyes would be able to see that. On almost every corner, on every street, in every lane, if you look, and not even hard enough, you will find at least two churches, at a minimum two churches. If you look even hard enough, you will find not only buildings acting as churches, business establishments and other places, but also open lots acting as venues for traveling evangelists, where they come, set up tents, preach, people come, they get baptized, other things, and things of that nature. Jamaica is a deeply, deeply Christian country. We may not practice it all the time in our everyday living, but when it comes to the reverence of the book, hands down, we are a religious people. When people speak about Christianity, however, they tend to think of the established churches and the mainline denominational churches, things like the Catholics, the Anglicans, the Methodists, the Presbyterians, things of that nature. And once upon a time, those were the dominant forces in Jamaica. Take the Anglican Church, for example. Up until the 1870s, I want to say, the Anglican Church was the Church of Jamaica. It was the established church. Your taxes would be going to pay for the upkeep of the Anglican Church in Jamaica. That is not the case anymore, but that used to be the case once upon a time. These churches, however, nowadays are not as influential or nowhere near as influential as they used to be. Instead of the Anglicans, the Methodists, the Baptists, the Presbyterians dominating who calls themselves a Christian, you have now either non-denominational churches doing that, taking the majority share, or you have evangelical churches taking the share. So things like your Pentecostals and things of that nature. Now, on the face of it, there's nothing really wrong with non-denominational and even Pentecostal churches doing their thing. That's just one more, flower blooming, if I may paraphrase Mao. But the problem, in my eyes, comes when one realizes that these churches, especially the evangelical and non-denominational churches, are being fed and funded not by local gratitude. They're getting the funding from abroad. They're getting the funding specifically from the United States and their far-right evangelical movements. If we can be very blunt, things like the Love March movement and the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, those are entities which, if not getting direct funding from the United States churches, hard-right churches, they are mimicking and aping them. And we in this country should sit up, take notice, and be very, very worried. We should be worried, for example, when these evangelical movements in Jamaica begin to hold vigils, for example, for the murdered far-right American Charlie Kirk. We shouldn't forget that Charlie Kirk was, on top of being a racist, he was also a man who wanted to see women go back to times that they have not seen since, I'm going to say, the 40s. He was a bigot. This is what these churches are promoting. And we should all be very worried. We should be very worried about churches that, if we're being honest, ape and mimic and imitate white supremacist movements in the United States and Europe. We should all be very worried. This is not a screed against Christianity. My family's all Christians and Baha'is. Ain't got no problem with Christianity. My problem is with this brand of Christianity that is seeking to destroy its opponents as opposed to win them over with love. that is seeking to kill everything as opposed to save everything. That is my problem with this version of Christianity that these movements are promoting and which is being funded or at the very least influenced by far right Christians abroad. It's something we need to sit up and take notice of. It's something we need to speak about openly. And it's something that, unless we tackle head on, we are going to end up like the United States, where all these rights that we think we have are going to be whittled away. And I don't think anybody wants to live in that kind of a country.